Of audio. Let's try that again. We got audio now. Hit the wrong button. How's it going, everyone? Welcome to Airbrush Down Dirty Tricks Monday night recap edition from last Thursday. Last Friday. Did that twice back to back. Yeah, we should be good now. We should have sound. We should have audio. Should be good to go. I hit the wrong button. But I think we're good, right? Yeah. See audio levels going up. It actually looks a little loud. Yeah, that might be a little too much. Let's see if I can tone that down a little bit. Because that seems a bit high. Let's see if we can knock that back a little bit. There we go. That should be a little better. Good, good, good. I was having weird audio issues tonight. I reset, something didn't save, and it reset my audio settings, so I've been messing with that for the past 40 minutes trying to figure out what's what, and I'm not an audio engineer, and yeah, some things make no sense. This machine is sometimes too overcomplicated. That's what we got. We got Warlock. What's going on? Gary, Jonathan, Brian Moore. What's going on? Avis Mendez. What is going on? Robert Minion. Cool. We are good. We are good to go. Let's show you where we left off the other night. Let's hit here. This is the piece we're doing, and it's looking pretty cool. Got it to almost, I want to get a little further in that, but we did a lot of talking, we did a lot of different stuff, so pretty happy with what we got, though. Chris of Decent Adventures, what's happening? Adam, 1978, what's going on? Rob Basil, Ron, Basil, 5577. Astro, what's going on? Cool, we got a good full house starting to pop in. Alright, let's give a reminder if everything's working tonight. So this is what we were working with for paint. This is a color I've mixed up quite a bit of times. I did a video on Createx channel, so you go to Createx YouTube channel, that's on there as well. First one's Dirty Penny, which is 3 parts Grabber Orange, 1 part Dirt Track Brown. And that, I find the orange is really bright, and I want to kick it down a little bit and get a little grittier. So that 1 extra part of Dirt Track Brown really helps. And I spelled brown wrong, I know. Espresso Shot is the same thing, 3 parts Grabber Orange, 2 parts Dirt Track Brown, 1 black candy. These are all Createx Candy 2.0s, and that gives you that nice rich dark color. So that's what we have happening there. So that really that really darkens it, and the cool thing is you can mix them together midway through, so you can go from like the nice Dirty Penny to like an in-between darker, and then go almost to black with the Espresso Shot. It's really great, especially over metallics. And from last week to this week, I did spike it a little harder, so I did make a mistake last week when I mixed it, but I got through it. It was fine. So when I was painting last week, it was a little weaker than I wanted it to be. And what I did is, when I mixed it, I didn't shake the candy enough. And I'm usually really adamant about shaking and mixing paints and straining when I do all that. But sometimes the candies I forget, because you don't think of it because it's a dye, basically. But you do get some settling, so it's best to really shake them up. So I re-shook it, I remixed everything today, and it's a lot stronger. So let's show you what we got here. That is the reference image we are working from. Which is an old block painting or block carving that was done for book illustration. And I'm out of it tonight, sorry. There's an old wood block carving, so we really had to just work it in. I lost my train of thought, sorry. I've been dealing with sound stuff the whole time. Recoup. So basically it's an 1800s illustration, really famous, and I want to kind of bring it to a modern time. And just airbrush it and tone it, add some extra little flair to it, and just kind of show you how to take an older piece and work from it. So what we did last week, we did image transfer, and we got it all transferred on. This was the original right here. And then we did some paper cutting just to give it, some crisper edges. But you'll notice now this Dirty Penny, it's a lot more vibrant when it goes down. Like right here, you'll see, when I come down with this, it's a lot warmer, covers a lot faster. So we're gonna have a lot better time. And yeah, so just remember when you paint, when you mix it, stir it really well, because now you'll notice when I do these daggers, I can really punch them out in these lines. I can really get them to color a lot faster. Which that's what I'm really trying for at this stage, is to just get coverage, because we want to get good separation. Is that 12? Roughly, it is 10 by 12. So it's just a little taller. I almost did a square, but so you notice now when I hit those, it goes in a lot better. And I got one darker color that we're going to hit as well. But see, you now just notice now when I go in for these details, I can do a lot more crispy dagger strokes. So basically I just made it, I remixed it, made it stronger, the candy was shaken better. Yeah. Oh yeah, you gotta be careful with that. We've had it really, really cold. So we just have like a little extra radiant heater, and this time of year, because we've been -1, -2 in that range, or just single digits. So I usually keep my my kitchen's the only one because it's on the back wall of the house, and the house is so old it's not insulated well. So yeah, I feel you. So we usually keep that open and make sure the heat from the kitchen gets in there, and that definitely helps. Or just a little portable radiant heater, just to be a little extra. So what I'm really trying to do is just get those darker areas established. Now that the mid-tone's kind of done, can you get them here? You could, I wouldn't. And if you lose power, just crack those. Just crack your faucet. Just a slow leak, just a slow trickle, and that'll keep it from freezing. In case you've never been through it, I'm sure you might have. But your pipes won't burst if you got some relief on the other side. So you might waste a little extra water, but just keep the valves open. The Createx which Createx opaque did you use? So the Createx Wicked Opaque shows up on black. I do it all the time. The detail will not show up on black at all. But if you got to be using the Wicked Opaque range, that's the only one that has a really high pigment strength that'll show up on black. But the detail colors are transparent; they won't show up on black. Detail colors are almost like candies; they're not quite as transparent as a candy, so they have to go over an opaque color. If you're having trouble, then add a little bit more white. You'll start with like a pink range for your fire, and then you'll use a transparent red, transparent orange over those colors. A lot of people do that. A lot of people prefer to do their fire. They do like opaque white, and then like a transparent red, and then opaque white again, then a transparent orange, then an opaque white again, then transparent yellow. A lot of guys do it that way as well. But you got to use the Wicked Opaques, not the regular Createx Opaques, and not the illustration opaques. The illustration opaques will work kind of, but not as much. If you're using just, are you using, Chris, are you using regular? Yeah, if it's not wicked, then it's not really opaque. So if it's just Createx Colors opaque red, those are t-shirt colors. Those aren't for mixed surfaces. They don't have the heaviness of it. So the Wicked Opaque series is the most opaque. So you see now how fast we're getting the coverage on this. Let me try to switch up. I made this camera get a little closer. So you can see here how fast we go to coverage now with that penny. Yep, you're welcome. What is the cap engraved? No, that's just dirt. That's just paint. Actually, I got a little clog there. Yeah, if you go back to those videos, if you're watching the one that's like the sideways skull with the fire, I put the paint list in there and the paint numbers of which ones I'm using. And I know it's confusing, especially if you're starting out, like what's a true opaque and what's a not. T-shirt opaques are different than illustration opaques, and then the Wicked line opaques is its own, you know, so they are a different pigment load set. Well, thank you, Adam. No, I've always wanted to have someone engrave. I've never learned engraving. I always thought that would be a cool thing to learn. I'm just kind of blocking in. We've got these bottom teeth. These are really small. I was talking to a good friend of mine today. We were talking about paint. You guys starting out, if you want to learn really fine detail, and you're starting on fabrics or soft papers, start with inks, or use like a transparent color like a blue. The pigments are so much thinner. You're having a much easier time getting them to go down. Spaghetti Managers, thank you, sir. Thank you for popping in. Spaghetti Managers is a great channel as well. I'm gonna give him a little blank shout out. Thanks, sir. Appreciate that. You ever drill out the vent cap? Yeah, no, I do have some. Do I have them up here? Or they might be in my shop. What I did with a lot of them, and it's actually what they started doing on the new Takumis after I did them, because I remember showing them. What I've done is I've drilled the hole a little bigger. I don't have them here, they're in my shop. And I actually used a chamfer bit, and I chamfered them at an angle. So it opened the vent hole a little more, and that allowed it to, it also let the paint, when you got wet paint, it went in more. So, yeah. So yeah, I did that to a lot of them. Basically, I just used a countersink bit and just worked it that way. So remember, I'm not trying for a lot of heavy line work just yet. We're really just trying to block things in. The next color we'll get in, we'll get a lot more of the detail and block it in. But you can hit some, now like little things that are going to be light. But really just trying to block it. Let's go to my, go to the multi-shot. You can see a little bit of everything. Oh, this cup. So yeah, this cup. They made this before they made the newer versions. I like these better. They're a little heavier, They're a little more expensive because they're one piece, they're all welded. These are an Iwata product. They came out before all the other side cups, except for the regular, you know, the little side one for, this is the gold one, but like that's the original type. And then they had the taller version of this, and they also had this larger version. And then they have the newer one where kind of you can put the multiple size caps, the multiple size cups on them, which I'm so heavy-handed I've actually snapped my pin off a bunch of times. So I like these guys, and they make a fucking they make a tall boy as well. So if you want to paint forever, this one I have in my Eclipse Takumi. So yeah, these are nice. You know, I have a Discord page, but I never use it for this. I'm on it for other things, but I thought about doing a little more over there. I'll get a poll from people. How many people here actually use it? Because I like the Discord too, because the Discord you can also do hangouts where you can all actually talk, which is kind of a cool feature. Do you need an adapter? No, it's an Iwata product. So this is an Iwata cup. So it fits the standard Iwata because it is an Iwata product number. I did a video a while back that had the part number on it. Yeah, it is an Iwata one. Gerald! Mr. Mendez, thanks for popping in, sir. Appreciate it. But yeah, this thing's a tank. I mean, I will warn you, it is a little heavier. So if you want it to be really light, yeah, I'll pop over on the Discord channel. If you're not on my social, send me a link to it. It won't really come up here, but these are my socials. You're not already on them, sir. Send me a link to the Discord. I'll pop over, or Adam, send me one. Cool. Bring that reference image back up here. Oh, for those just joining late, these are the colors. Those are the mixes we're using. I did spell brown wrong. I know. What is the reason you use the side feed so much? You know, I never used to use them for a while, and then I do like the body size. They are a little smaller. There's a shorter, especially the Takumi. The Takumi from here to the front is about a 1/4 inch shorter, so it is a little bit more exact throw from your movement. I mean, it's minimal, but you can feel it. But if you look at an original Eclipse, original Micron, the length from the trigger to the end of the body is really big. So it's just a different movement, but you know, this part's the same. So when your grip is the same, your throw is about a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch lower than like a Micron CM. So it's just a little bit more responsive. It is a little bit more out of the way for the camera, so I do like it for that. But it doesn't change, the side feed doesn't change performance. But the other thing I do is I work on a lot of motorcycles, or car hoods, and I'm working down like this. So the cool thing is you can tilt. You know, I can work like this if I need to and have my brush like vertical in the paint. So there's some benefits to it. It's not a game changer. But if you look at the Eclipse, and so this is, oops, that's the plus. Too many brushes. Too many airbrushes. Where is the regular Eclipse? Blah, 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 blah. So here's our Eclipse. Okay, so you see the length of an Eclipse, and this is an Eclipse Takumi. So the head is the same, so their atomization's not the same. I mean, the atomization is exactly the same, doesn't change that. But look at the length difference. You know, it's almost an inch. You know, maybe 3/4 of an inch. So it's just a smaller body. You know, from the trigger forward, it's the same body from the trigger back. So, yeah, you know, my hands aren't small either, and I just ended up getting really to like the size of it, you know. So yeah, but you know, for video, it's actually much better because you can see everything that's happening more. So, kind of got a little bit better from there. Yeah, I love the Takumi, the Eclipse Takumi. I use that almost, probably 80% of my work is done with that. And then I go in for like kill shots with with my microns. And here's the real deal, and I said it, I've been in meetings with you on it, talking the same thing, and even they're the same way. You don't need the micron to get detail. The Eclipses will do super fine detail all day long, no problem. It does take a little more practice. The microns will do it a little more consistency, and they'll run thinner paints at lower pressure, which the Eclipses, because they're a larger nozzle, they do take a little bit more CFM and power to push and pull the paint. So, it is an improved design, but you can get super fine detail out of an Eclipse. Back in my t-shirt days, I was saying last week that we used to get fine detail out of, a VL3, which is probably equivalent to a 0.5. And we were running that at 60 PSI and all day long. Painting on fabric helps too. But you see, because I mixed the paint a little stronger, I'm getting faster coverage. I'm coming to my kind of details a little quicker. Is the Solitaire shorter? Yeah, I've heard good things. A lot of guys like it. I don't. And I'm saying this as a preference, not as a performance. I don't like the way the Solitaire feels. I felt them. I don't like the mechanical action in them. And I know they work great and people like them. It's just a preference thing. And I'm not a fan of those big tall triggers. For me, they feel sloppier. But most cases, it's the user, not the tool. Sometimes the user's a tool too, but. And if you look, so we're going to have to really start getting dark down here. I really have to get under here dark. Oh, you know what I got to do? I didn't even notice I was working so much lower. I got to move this up. On a piece of this, whatever you... No, I mean... So the espresso shot it gets near black, and it's as black as I really want it. If I wanted to, I would add a couple drops of black into it if I need to go darker, but I wouldn't use straight black on it. We've had that discussion a lot. I love it for collection on 3D models. It's just very hard to work with. Which one's very hard to work with? The side feed? I use it on my Warhammer minis without a problem, but again, it all comes down to feel and preference. Like I said, I used to do massive detail work back in the day in a VL3, and they are not a detail brush. Well, we did it. In the 90s, that's what we had. It's amazing what you can do when you're up to 60, 70, 80 PSI out of a VL. Oh, the Solitaire. Yeah. I'm thinking about the new Renegade. Again, give it a test drive. I know when I taught Adepticon last year, they had them. I picked them up. It was just not my feel. Definitely not my feel. Oh, okay, yeah. Yes, yes. Gerald got me hooked on the eyedroppers, and I used to pre-mix everything and put it in plastic bottles. But yeah, the eyedropper bottles are so much easier. I think they keep the paint in better condition, because plastic, you still lose solvent in plastic, but glass you typically don't. And the way I've been mixing and straining my paint through these, like this white I mixed over, me and Gerald talked about the mix. Gerald, this is the paint, I think I mixed this when I talked to you, which was over a month ago, and it still works perfectly. You know, mixing right, straining, and getting it all loaded in makes all the difference in the world. Especially when you're getting super down low. Again, going back to the t-shirt days, you can get away with a lot of cruddy paint at 60 to 80 psi. You know, we used to just, you know, I started with Deca fabric paint back in the day. For any old timers, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That was like pre-Tratex days. And yeah, you could just 80 psi through a VL3, you can just flood that stuff through it. Get really high saturation on a t-shirt. Yo. Let's see if we can get a little racing done. There we go. Yeah, I mean, and I switched from the Pagets to the, you know, to the Eclipse, and the Eclipse would run the same thing. I'd run an Eclipse with a 0.5 nozzle at, you know, 70, you know, 80 psi. And that was mainly for speed, but you also get a little extra detail out of it. On metal, you get blow-offs like crazy, but. I'm gonna go to a heavy one here. So I hope everyone had a good weekend this weekend. January's over. Dry January for some. Now everyone can get off the wagon. Oh, Gerald, thank you. Yeah, you know, I did a quick video. One from you would be outstanding. And I haven't even done a full one yet, and I should have. I did a quick one, but yeah, no, it is handy, and when I'm running a couple of them, it's nice when I'm getting ready for a feed. It just keeps it cleaner, I think. I'm glad you like it. I was talking with someone earlier, and I was talking about, like, you know, he had never strained it till watching me do it, and I'm like, you know, I didn't strain a lot of my paints earlier on, but I always strain automotive paints. And then, I think it was you or Craig, that you got a strainer from an artist in Brazil. I think it was you, Gerald. It was like made out of copper, handmade, soldered together. Does it make sense to rotate the paint upside down? Sure. Yeah. I mean, when you shake it, for sure. That's how. You can go to the wide shot here. That's how that mixer works. This is my rotary mixer. These I'll usually run them, you know, an hour or so in the morning, or when I'm starting. That's where I keep most of my paint mix, and just let it roll. Those are made by Marty Carpenter, 3E ink keepers. I've had this one running for about 4 years now, almost. It's outstanding. Looks cool in the shop too. Makes cool noise when you have all the mixing balls in there. As far as storing the paint upside down, I don't know. You know, mixing them upside down helps, you know, get the pigments, but I know with one shot it's great to store upside down because it gets that skin on top on one shot a lot of times in the cup. This is aluminum polymetal, so it's got a PVC poly plastic core with aluminum on both sides. So these are my preferred panels that I use. I strain everything. Autobone sealer especially. Autobone sealer is really heavy. I won't strain it through a micro mesh. I'll put my Autobone sealer through a normal paper. Like a normal paper strainer, like a cone. I'll go through those. Yes, yeah, your friend in Brazil. I ended up buying one from him. I think it cost me more in shipping to get it, but I didn't care because I just wanted to support him, and it was cool. And that kind of kicked the idea for me to routinely strain it more and more. And then I came up with a little quick strainer that's really cheap and simple, and then the little holders. So yeah. Yeah, dude, I strain everything. You know, and I was talking to someone earlier about this. You know, in the automotive world, we don't spray a car or base coat anything without running it through a strainer. And that's going through a big gun, 1.2, 1.3 nozzle. So it just makes more sense to strain your paint for a point, you know, a 0.3, a 0.2, 0.18, you know, even more so, because a lot of times it's the same type of paint. And I want to say this, and people are like, oh, if it's good paint, you shouldn't have to strain it. But it's not the paint. It's not the fact that there's dried particles or things like that, or the paint's a problem. The issue is, just like cooking, if you ever baked or done anything with flour, it's like sifting flour. The sifting of it lets it equalize and distribute evenly throughout. So all your pigments, resins, and solvents and everything will get evenly distributed through the paint. Because when you sit on the shelf for a day or two, everything settles. And if you don't shake it enough, you're going to have, you know, let's say a misalignment of product. So you'll get starts and stops in weak areas and strong areas. So just by mixing it and then running it to a strainer, kind of breaks it apart, sifts it, puts it back together, and it just makes it even. It's a good practice. Just like, again, back to a body shop. What's the first thing a paint guy does when he mixes paint? He turns the mixing bank on. And that thing spins the paint and gets everything moving. And then you reduce it, put it in a cup, and then you strain it. So with airbrushing, it just makes more sense. Especially more sense. I just got a Badger, which was never used. It came with rot ring colors. It was about 39 years old. Yeah, rot ring's a bit old. I got a big collection of rot ring stuff, of inks and pens and stuff like that. So, well, if you haven't. Yeah, but the key is, you know, no matter how well, you're going to have a little dry paint at the end of an airbrush, but you want to minimize it as much as possible. And I gotta say, you know, the whole, if you haven't liked, shared, subscribed, all that stuff, please do it. Helps the channel grow. Gotta keep this channel growing. Not growing as fast as I wanted to, but it is growing steady. And I haven't bought any likes or anything like that, so that's good. So I know people are consuming the content, actually care and watch it. Oops, that was supposed to be a line there. Yep. Exactly. You know, it's just a good practice to get into. And once you get into that practice, Gerald, it's just part of your day. You know, it's just part of the process. I actually enjoy that process because you kind of, it's like a tattoo artist setting up a tattoo. You kind of get everything going. You start to know what colors you're going to work with, what tones and values you're going to have to work with. And you're just kind of gearing up to get ready. I had one guy say, "Oh, that's too much of a pain. I don't want to waste time doing that." Well, to each his own. I start to find it kind of therapeutic. Just getting ready to paint. You know, the great thing is once you're at this stage, now, you know, a lot of the stuff's already there. So now you're filling in details. This is the fun part for me. Because now I got most of the tone, I know where everything is. I can start with little details like the little rope. Oh, I think I was blocking the camera, I'm sorry. Thank you very much. Let's see. I have a hard time with Autoborn sealer pre-reduced. What do you mean pre-reduced? Like I reduce it before I use it. I might save it for a day or so, or a couple days with that, because that's more of a primer type. It's going to harden. I strain it and run it through. Running through a 0.35 Eclipse, you're going to have to reduce it quite a bit. You got to jack that pressure up to probably about 50 to get that to spray nice without over reducing it. Because if you over reduce it, it defeats the purpose of a sealer. Because you want coverage out of a sealer, so you don't want to go too much reduce. So I'd go about 10%, strain it, and run about 50 psi. That's kind of how I would handle it. A lot of times with the Autoborn sealers, when I'm running them, I'll run them through a 0.5, or I'll run them through my TH2, or I'm using like a minigun with it. Because that's essentially like a primer. So it's definitely going to run a lot thicker. So yeah, on a 0.25, yeah, you got to run that sucker up high. I don't run the sealer through the airbrush very often. Seals I'm usually running through a spray gun. Yeah, because when you're that high, you'll run thicker paint through the brush, no problem. You're never going to get seal to run down at like 20 psi, 25. You need to be up, I'd say at least 35, 40 plus. Like I said, I don't run the Autoborn sealer much through an airbrush. I'm typically using like Wicked Opaques through the airbrush if I want coverage. The sealers I use for direct to plastic as like a primer. It's kind of what I'm running that for, and I'll run that, like I said, through a larger gun. I don't know what the tip size of a PS90 is. Oh yeah, 0.5. Yeah, the 0.5. So it's a trigger one. Yeah, you should run it. You should be able to run that through. Again, you're gonna want to be in a little higher pressure range. Yeah, don't be afraid of pressure. What I usually do when I'm using inks or when I'm using water-based and dyes like this is I'll do a quick flush with water, and then I'm using like 70 or 90% isopropyl alcohol, running that through. And then I paint every day or every couple days, so I just put it away wet. So I'll just leave a little fluid in, put a piece of tape over it, and I'm good to go. You know, a couple days, day later. On one of the airbrush forums, I did a whole breakdown on like best practices for cleaning your airbrush to keep it working. Like, if you're gonna go away for 5 or 10 minutes, don't worry about it. It's fine. You're not gonna have a problem, unless you're using catalyzed paint. You know, if you're gonna go away to lunch, if you got enough paint in there, I just put a piece of tape over the vent. I go to lunch, a couple hours, end of the day, come back, it's fine. Give it a shake. Again, as long as it's not catalyzed. And my routine at night, if I'm going to paint the next day, I'll usually give it a quick clean out, leave it wet, come back the next day and paint. The only time I do like a full breakdown clean is when the brush is either working well, or I'm not going to be using that brush for a while. I'm going to put it away. And then all the time I pull brush fully apart is if it's not working. Just doing a heavy shadow. Man, I changed this camera position, and I'm sorry, I keep getting in the way of it. I'm getting used to it. I gotta keep my head back more so you don't see my bald spot. I use only my, yeah, I'm just saying, so my LPH 80 or my bigger gun if I'm doing big parts, 10% reducer, that's the exact way to use it. And that's gonna be, that's what it's designed, that's how it's designed to be used. Just like House of Color, their primer sealers, the reduction you look at, that is designed for a spray gun or a small nozzle spray gun or trigger airbrush. So we're almost equally dark. Maybe a little down here, and then I'm going to get the darker color in and start putting this baby to bed. There is a bid on this of 150. It says Cheese Grits and NyQuil. He is still the high bid. And for those not familiar, this is based off of the 1800s block painting, wood block carving. Called, I think it's Death by Strangler or Death by Stranger. Has to do with the Mask of the Red Death and first color era breakout. That's when this image is kind of from, that era. Yeah, I'm getting there. Oh, if you guys watching over from UK and stuff, don't forget we got International Airbrush Days coming up in May. Me, David Naylor, Melania, Angela, I think it is, Roderick, and Marissa will be doing that. So if you're interested, do I remember you were selling the paint strands? Yeah, so I have right there. And then I got the larger ones too. These are larger ones as well. And these fit the bottles, or they fit like a 2 ounce, like a Createx bottle. I don't have one here, but you know, fits the full Createx bottles as well. And basically sell them by themselves, or you know, with these. But these you can make yourself super cheap. The part numbers are listed. I got a video link for them. These are like a couple bucks a piece, and then you just buy a whole bunch of screens. This is what I strain most of my stuff through. This, you know, it's basically a tobacco screen, and that's enough to sift everything. And then when I want like my super thin stuff, I'll go through these types, because these are a lot finer. These I don't sell, but these you can get on Amazon. I've had these last. Someone was worried that these are disposable. These aren't. I mean, I've run these for over a year or more. They cleaned up. They hold up really nice, solvent or water. I think they're like 12 bucks for a pair of them. So, but these you have to get through like Coast or Spray Gun or Amazon. But the holders I make. And my little, you know, the paint organizers, those are on there as well. Rob, see what's happening. What's going on, man? Again, that's paint list. We got the paint list there. Oh, we got to thank all our Down and Dirty Tricksters. I forgot to do that earlier. Got a few members there. Levi's Art was new. I'm not sure if you're still on. I know you were on before. So thank you for signing up. Naughty Maine Biker. Scott, Mike, you guys are all the newest of the new. So thank you for becoming Down and Dirty Tricksters. Don't forget you get 25% off stuff in the store. And yeah, so thanks everyone. All my green skulls, been over 2 years. Reds over a year. I mean, yellows over a year. So thank you everyone for all the support. Let me get this back. Reference image. It's like playing the keyboard. I got really good at doing live edits, but I gotta really work on my editing skills for post editing. I could do it. I'm just slow at it, and I get bored. The live feeds, I can just go and switch and talk and kind of live edit as I go, and it's nice. You know, while Gerald's here, let's do the little details, man. We got texture effects. Always a winner. I want to make this a little crisper. Take that kind of line work out. Darken up the background around them. That'll help pop it forward more. Practice makes perfect, or not perfect, but. I think that's cool for a start. It's a little rough in some areas, but let's see, we can give it a little crisp. Best way to get creative block is just paint something else. Paint some different shit. Let's get a little sharper here. Give that little definition of the hood. Yeah. Alright, so before I go to the really dark, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my espresso. Instead of going straight to the very dark in my other airbrush, I'm going to darken this up. Put a couple squirts. So this should start to darken things up a bit. Let's see. I go through those phases. That's what I've been doing with Warhammer. Been buying more than I've been painting. So you see this is a little darker. So I can start kind of working out. Yeah, I could probably even go a little darker with this. But it's the nice in between. You know, just starts to warm it up. This is our antique crayons. Yeah, very cool. I got a couple antiques, nothing like Gerald. For a little while, I had one that Gerald didn't have. I'm not sure if he ever got one of this exact model. I know he's got a couple ideals. I got a really old, I want to say it's like 19 teens or something like that. This one's retro. This one, I forget, I looked at it, it was like 1918 or something like that. This was an ideal airbrush. It still works. I actually did a painting with it years ago, just to mess with it. Yeah, so that's a cool one. My brother found it at a flea market in Salem, Mass. Side feed, Baker light handle. Yeah, it's just a screw. It doesn't do anything. There's no mechanics back here. So yeah, that's an oldie. But yeah, if Gerald doesn't have this one, it might be time to donate this to the museum. Gerald, let me know if you don't have this one yet. We could talk trade. Yeah, brushes came out in the 1800s. Most old tintype photos were like restored, made look better with airbrushes. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go darker. To help someone starting out, I want it as an airbrush on there. For 90 bucks if it helps. Oh, I got a couple of them, yeah. I got one that works, a couple that are broken. Oh, I had one. See, I get into these, you guys get me into trouble. Because now I'm off topic. But I can't help it. Is this one that's working? No. Oh, this one. If you've never seen one of these, this is the Turbo. Great brush, cool. Not for doing line work, but if you don't know why it's called a Turbo, it's because in here is a turbo. And the needle actually goes in and out like a tattoo machine this way. Air comes off here to spray out, your paint goes in this little cup here. Okay? And when you turn it on, oops, my needle's kind of out of sorts. I don't know if you can see. Let me see if I can get close up with the camera. Watch the needle. It's actually right here. It comes out. It. And the turbo spoons up like a turbo. Yeah, it's pretty wild. Here, let's do something I've never done. I just have to clean it after. Let's put a drop of Createx and see if it works. It might not. I don't even know if this brush works anymore. It's really for atomizing and smoothing, not so much line work, but yeah, it's pretty wild. They are a cool looking brush. And they sound cool. Let me give that a quick clean. This week on Airbrush Show and Tell. Yeah, Gerald, did you ever find one of these? I know you got some ideals. But this is, I'm not sure if you have this one. I know at one point you didn't, but I know you've probably found it by now. But if you have it, let me know. Yeah, I need setting up to do it. To do it right. Oh, no, I missed the noise. I was waiting for the noise. So I did get a little too much in here. A little scratchy scratch. You're welcome. Whoa. Whoa. Sorry. Alright. Let's put this baby to bed. This is the mix of the espresso shot. So now you see you start punching out these details. Gerald, give me a buzz, because it might be time for me to give that at home and donate it instead of just sitting on my shelf. If you're interested, let me know. So this is where the painting really starts to shape up, because you can really just carve and detail to your heart's content. The darker you darken the background, the more everything's going to pop out in the foreground. These are nice paintings, like Gerald, you'll probably concur, that when we're at a show or you're doing demos, once you get to this point of a painting or somewhere around here, you can just play and add details and talk to people all day, just have fun with it, keep adding little details and adding more until you're bored of it and want to just finish, and then you can just wrap it up at almost any time and have a finished painting. At this stage, it's like you're about 20 minutes from done from whenever you want to be. Like whenever you get to the point where you're like, I'm done, you can just wrap this up. Like I need to get this whole area darker because that's the back side of the cape, so I need to push it back. Great, Gerald. Yep. It's my pleasure. Let's get a little cheesecloth in here. Just allows it to give a little sense of realism and a little texture. Hey Mike, what's going on? It is 9 o'clock. I think we're going to run this until 9:30, wrap this up. I think that'll be a good time. And then I'll figure out Wednesday. I think I'm going to start something Valentine's Day-ish. I got a really cool... I'll be open to ideas. I got a really cool panel here. It's a cool metallic pink. It's an old color that's not made anymore. Actually, it was a prototype color that Createx had come out with a long time ago called Metallics. And it's hard to tell in this light. Oh yeah, there you go. It's a really, coarse pink metallic. Really nice looking in person. So I think I want to do something Valentine's Day-ish on this. So I think we'll start something on this panel. Yeah, this was back in the day Createx made paint called Metallics. And it was metallic base coat, automotive grade. I guess I'm going to wet sand this. And this was a 12 by 18 inch piece of aluminum that I painted years ago. I got a bunch of colors actually that I dug out of my basement. And I might make these a series this year. We got a blue, we got a cool burnt orange, we got a purple, got this lime gold, a green. These are basically going to be underlying colors for candies. Yeah, that's an old painting. Oh, I forgot that was there. So I might do some paintings on those. Do you like to take this for colors? Okay. Yeah, so with Createx illustration, I use them a lot for my artwork. You don't use them for base coating, like you can for small things, but you have to add, if you're going to go direct to metal with them, or direct to plastics, you got to add 40-30 or 40-50 to them. And that turns it in from a water-based acrylic to a water-based polyurethane is what happens when you add that mix, and then they're going to bond to that. So a lot of times, I know in my fire videos, I would use the illustration colors red, orange, or yellow instead of candies. But yeah, just mix them with a little reducer and the 40-50, and you'll be good to go. Adam, have a good one, man. Yeah, those are cool, Gerald. We made those. Well, not we. Createx made those. We were testing them back well over a decade or more ago, and they were going to be like an underlying coarse metallic for candies to go over the top. And those colors didn't work out. They had issues back then because the metallics were mixing funny with the resins and doing some weird things, and you'd open the can and they would stink because there was like a chemical reaction going on with the metal particulates and the resins. And they have since reformulated and made a better color set. So the new Wicked pearls are really beautiful. They're pearl white, they're pearl metallic. Purple is really, really nice. But these just happen to be, I painted those test panels well over a decade ago. They've been sitting in a pile. So yeah, I was doing some clean out work in the basement of my house where a lot of my old stuff in the shop is stored, and I saw those and I'm like, oh, this would be a cool idea to do something with. I got a whole pile of old artwork down there too. I should do that as a artwork rescue. Like take some old half-done piece I never finished, or something that was sitting around the shop that's kind of old and dated, and see if we can bring it back to life and freshen it up. That might be a cool series of videos to do. If anyone's interested in that, let me know. Almost like an art rescue. It's like bar rescue for old paintings. We'll get John Tapper to yell at me for painting shitty stuff. I still have some of those colors. Oh yeah. Yep. Oh yeah. When I base coat, I strain them. Always. Just for the metallics, you got to use a coarse. You know, when you look at strainers, there's different mesh sizes. So I would use a coarse base coat strainer. Again, with metallics, that helps. It helps kind of separate and sift the paint. So here's the thing, I can't, there are certain colors you can't strain, or you can't strain well. Now see, metallics won't clump up if you use a tiny strainer, then they clump in the strainer. But if you use a coarse strainer, it's going to evenly distribute the metallic flake and you'll get a better job out of it. Just got to use a strainer that's coarse enough. I mean, you get to like certain size flakes you really can't strain well. I remember with DeVilbiss, they had a plastic, it was like almost a plastic strainer. It was just almost like a it wasn't even a mesh. It was more of a grid that would go in the gun itself, like in the top feed before you put the cup on, and it would help sift the metallic through like really coarse stuff. I remember the only paint we couldn't strain really, and then we had to use a specific strainer, was when we do the Lumalore. When you do the backplane material, it's so heavy because it's basically spraying metal that if you use the wrong strainer, it changes the way it works. So you got to make sure you use the correct strainer size. But that's the electrified paint, so there's a lot of rules on that stuff. I got a bunch of those panels too. I thought about painting one night. Jammer's right, man. Here's the thing, especially metallics. You're doing, dude, you're doing you're laying metallic or a really super coarse pearl on on like a roadster, real flat panel, and you get a clunk that jumps through that in the middle of the hood. Your day's ruined. Especially if you're doing like a really coarse base coat candy, you get a clump that goes through it. It's not worth it. Strain everything. Jammer, welcome back to the channel. So at this stage, you can just keep watching it, and if I do a time lapse through this, you'd see it's starting to slowly come together. You kind of go back over the same area a few times, and you're starting to build it, build more tone. I've done some videos on this before. Aside from erasing and using an X-Acto knife, what's another way we can take away and eradicate some paint that I've done? That I have not used yet. This is a guy playing the Deadbeat song. You get 3 chances. So you're really done after the second. You get the third one to try to redeem yourself in most shops. I've had guys when I had the shop that worked with me that, you know, if I had to talk to them more than, you know, after the third time for something, if I gotta talk to you once, it's fine. Second time, you're on the fence. If I gotta talk to you a third time about the same thing, you get done. There is no more redemption. Because at that point, you're just doing it. You're either really stupid, and I don't want you, or you think you think you own the shop. At that point, I don't need you either. Yeah, spray more spray alcohol. In that case, let's do it. Just gonna bring out my clips here. We got a little isopropyl in here. Let's see if we can erase some highlights on this. There we go. See that? No, they don't fade easily in the sunlight at all. And especially anything you're gonna, I don't care what paint you're using. Use House of Color, use, you know, Graytex, you use whatever brand. You should be top coating it anyway, because none of those paints have a lot of they have some natural UV in the paint, but most UV inhibitors are in the top coats and clear coats, so that's where you should be doing it. The illustration colors are really light fast; they really hold up well. And once you mix the 40-50 into it, now the paint itself is UV resistant too. But you got to top coat it anyway. And that's where most of your UV is going to come in. I can even add some extra little details in here. Maybe we'll add a teardrop to that guy. So this is more of an eradication with liquid. Great way to put highlights. If you're using solvent, just use lacquer thinner. I think the first time I saw this was Corey St. Clair doing it with liquids. So I know when I did the Walking Dead bike years back, I did a lot of this in the zombies to make all the drool. Great for teeth in small areas like this, see? Come in and just great for highlights. Yeah, no, 0.5 flake out of a nozzle that, that's not going to spray too well. The dude, a Vanderslice shirt should have some paint on it, man. No, 40-50 is amazing stuff. Like, I don't even use the 40-30 anymore. I use the 40-50 for everything. For my candies. And for my tabletop Warhammer stuff, I love the, what's it, 40-52 or 53 is the matte. The matte's awesome. Couple of highlights. See how that just brought that out? Watch this. Just brings out that highlight. And bring out the bone here. This is just isopropyl. Just let it work. A little softer than erasing. Great for fixing mistakes too, by the way. If you've never done it, that's what I said. Lazy mixer. I want to highlight under the eyes. And you can use white here, but I like, you know, you'll get that little bit of blue shift unless you put some a little bit of orange transparency in it. Let's say I can do these little highlights, or I can pulse it and get a lot of texture in here. Well, the 40-50 is not going to reduce the paint, because 40-50 is actually thicker than the paint, so you got to reduce it with the 40-21 or something. But the best thing about the 40-50 is it'll make the paint more transparent if you put a lot of it in, so it acts almost like a transparent base. But it makes the paint stickier, basically, is kind of what it does. So what that's going to do, it's going to make it bond better to plastics and heavy metals and things like that. Then obviously you can go back in and shade over this if it was too strong. But it's just a nice way to bring some white back in. Yeah, or you could do the old razor blade trick like that. Or the one I like to do, if you're doing the scratching, and I've showed this a few times, I forget the number. This is number 12 or number 9. Use this blade. use the rounded one. And these, you get a wider scratch, a little softer. Doesn't dig into the panel as much, so that's something you can do. If you've never messed with liquid eradication, mess with it. It's fun. It takes a little bit of getting used to, so don't do it your first time on something you really care about. And if you're a solvent painter, I just use lacquer thinner or reducer, really hot reducer. It's just a fun technique because you can just see I can just keep working that soft. It actually does a soft shade, like painting white. So I'll have to check and see if there's any other bids on it. Last bid was $150. So I have to decide if I'm going to let it go for that. Or if it just stays in the collection. Another 5 minutes on this and we'll call it. Well, 5 minutes of details. And a little modern-y twist on the old design. Let's go with the straight espresso shot. Violinist. Liquid eradication. I think this could go a little darker, so I am going to add a couple of drops of black to my paint. Oh, you could totally coat this whole thing in candy red, or whatever color candy. Like a candy, tequila yellow or an orange would be cool. These fries, the red candy would look fucking awesome too. I think this one will get probably a satin clear. It'll look really good. I really just want to hit these real dark areas so it really sets that this is above this and that's below that. The size, this is 10 by 12. You see how this colors? I gotta put like a shield to keep me from blocking. Yeah, so it's a good size. So it's just, yeah, 12, just shy of 12 by actually 10, almost 10 and a half. Whoa. Drop shadow here. Yeah, keeping the background really simple. Have a little shadow on here. Let's hit this nice and dark. Let's go, man. Just about to wrap this puppy up. Just picking away some details. So feel free to ask some questions, any suggestions for this Thursday's feed. Like, so we're going to start something kind of for the Valentine's Day realm. I know one year I did like a sick bunny. I was thinking of doing an ace of hearts, like playing card with inside the heart symbol, something kind of cool, and I was thinking along that realm was an idea. A sealer or a bleed check sealer? Bleed check something if you're having trouble with the candy, like if you're trying to put white over candy, it's like turning color on it, you can put a bleed check sealer. I don't use it that much anymore. I found since the 4050 came out, I don't really need it. But if you are having a bleed problem, the bleed check sealer is a dissimilar material, and it'll stop it from happening. You can also use like a what am I trying to say? You can use a solvent, automotive solvent, like intercoat clear, and that'll stop it as well. I don't use that much. If you watched the Fire Horse one, I went right over that with white after all the candy, didn't have any bleed. It was a more problem back in the day. So the 4050s really improved that. Gerald, do you use a lot of bleed check still, or no? I don't need it that much anymore. A little extra texture. 4050 is actually clear. It's not just clear base coat, it's clear top coat. So it's a polyurethane clear that'll lock down your paint and turn your water-based acrylic to a water-based polyurethane. So you can use it as a top coat, or you can use it as a balancing or mixing clear as well. Now this, yeah, don't use the intercoat in a spray can. You can, but it's just, it's not a great idea. It's fine for doing like collision stuff, you just go in quick over it. Don't use it over artwork. The problem with can clears is you can't control the volume it comes out, come out really wet. They have to put other stuff in it. Just I wouldn't. I didn't like it when Sem tried it. I didn't like it. It had its place, but there's a couple out there, but I wouldn't waste the money on it. Remember, spray cans you get about 3 ounces of paint. The rest of it's all just propellant. So if you have a spray gun, you're way cheaper just using, or a decent airbrush, you're way better just using. See? White paint stays white. No bleedy check. Once the candy is suspended with 4050, it really holds together. Unless you overload it with too much concentrate, it's usually fine. If it turns out polyurethane, or it's still, yeah, because it's a water-based polyurethane. Polyurethane is a resin, and there's solvent-based chemical polyurethane, so there's water-based polyurethane resins. Polyurethane doesn't just mean chemical solvent like urethane or lacquer. It's just the resin carrier reacts with water and then cures versus like lacquer or solvent. Of chemical solvent. So it turns it from a water-based acrylic paint to a water-based polyurethane. So it basically has bite and it hardens. See? Nice, white, no problem. And this is 30% reduced white. Createx illustration. But the 4050 comes in handy. Like if you have a problem where it just keeps, some colors bleed more than others. Some colors are harder. Sometimes if you have to reduce your paint a lot, sometimes you'll get it. You get it with solvent too. Solvent holds a little bit better, but it can still happen. So it's just basically an intercoat. So you see I'm using it, in this candy I mix strong. This candy is like I usually do 1-to-1. I think I did like 70% candy to 30% 40-50, and it's still holding together. Oh, skull and hand holding the heart, that could work. That's a nice idea. I like that. I think it'll be cheesy. I almost put a couple of like floating musical notes. What if they were little skulls? Really subtle. Might be cheesy, but whatever. Zombie Cupid, huh? With little skull notes. Cupid with an AK. Now that's been done. Let's get the artist who did that first, but they've seen that before. I think Evil did something like that. Oh yeah. I know how that goes. Clearing and cold is no fun. You can put accelerators in it, but it can be risky. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was an Able piece. We'll figure something out. In a few days, we'll start it on Thursday. And wrap it up next week for Valentine's Day. Yeah, it's looking pretty cool. Yeah, well, you just gotta get it sprayed and then, you know, get it inside where it's above 60 degrees and keep some air on it and you'll get it to go. If there's small panels there, talk to Dave at Coast and try some of that Clean Armor stuff. That stuff you can get UV cleared, dried in 2 minutes. Does work. I've been starting to use it on some of these candles. I've been messing with it. second painting of 2026. Do a little tint over that. There's also white. That's a UV clear, yeah. Yeah, man, this stuff's amazing. This stuff is really cool. I think that was a fun little project. A little satin top coat on that. And we will call this one a night. I'm glad you guys had a good night. Hope you enjoyed the project. You can message me on some socials for ideas for Thursday night. Post on the channel. Don't forget to sign up, subscribe, like, all that stuff. That all helps the channel grow and keeps it going. Hope everyone has a great week starting out, and I'll see you guys on Thursday. Peace. See ya.